The emergency alarm echoed through the massive halls of the Galactic Council station. Red lights flashed as thousands of beings from across the galaxy hurried to their seats. This was only the third time in 200 years that such an alarm had been sounded. The last time was when the machine worlds had declared war on all organic life. Ambassador Vex adjusted his blue scales and checked his datapad one more time. The Altarian Republic had discovered something that could change everything. His webbed hand shook slightly as he walked to the center of the great chamber. Around him sat representatives from 47 different worlds. The insectoid hive buzzed nervously in their section. The crystalline entities glowed brighter with worry. Even the normally calm aquatic assembly seemed disturbed. "Council members," Vex began, his voice carrying through the translation devices, "that let every species understand each other. We have detected a new species approaching our borders. They call themselves humans." A few council members shifted in their seats. New species were discovered every few decades. This was not usually. "'Cause for emergency sessions," Vex continued. "But these humans are different. They travel with creatures that our experts believe are the most dangerous predators we have ever encountered." The chamber fell silent. Commander Thale of the Reptilian Confederacy leaned forward. His yellow eyes narrowed. "What kind of predators?" Vex pressed a button on his device. A large screen appeared above the chamber. The images that followed made several council members gasp in fear. The screen showed grainy footage from a border monitoring station. Dark shapes moved alongside smaller bipedal figures. The shapes were covered in fur and moved on four legs. Their mouths opened to reveal rows of sharp white teeth. Their eyes seemed to glow in the darkness. "Our analysis shows these creatures are perfectly designed for hunting and killing," Vex explained. "They have powerful jaws that can crush bone. Their hearing is 10 times better than most species. They can run faster than our security vehicles. Most disturbing of all, they seem to obey the humans completely." Queen Nala of the insectoid hive spoke up. "Are you saying these humans have enslaved apex predators?" "It appears so," Vex replied. "We have never seen anything like this. Every species in our galaxy either evolved alone or in hive groups. No one has ever made other predators serve them." Minister Reef from the Aquatic Assembly waved his tentacles nervously. "How is this possible? Our greatest warriors struggle to fight creatures half that size." The images on the screen changed. They showed the creatures following the humans without chains or cages. The beasts walked calmly beside their human companions. Sometimes the humans would point, and the creatures would run in that direction immediately. "We believe the humans have bred these creatures for war," Vex said. "They have created the perfect biological weapons. Creatures that are loyal only to them and will attack anyone's shoes." Commander Thale stood up, his reptilian features twisted with concern. "What are their intentions? Do they plan to invade our space?" "Unknown," Vex answered. "They have sent a message requesting permission to dock at Neutral Station 7 for diplomatic talks. But they refuse to leave their creatures behind." The chamber erupted in worried chatter. The crystalline entities pulsed with alarm. The machine world representative calculated threat levels out loud. The hive buzzed in panic. "We cannot allow biological weapons into our space," declared General Crix of the Military Alliance. "These creatures could kill thousands before we could stop them." Meanwhile, millions of miles away, Captain Jake Anderson sat in the command chair of the human ship Wanderer. He was reading the message from the Galactic Council on his tablet. His brown hair was messy from running his hands through it in confusion. Beside his chair lay a large golden dog with floppy ears and a constantly wagging tail. "Max, can you believe this?" Jake said to the dog. "They think you're a biological weapon." Max looked up at his human companion with big brown eyes and tilted his head. His tail wagged faster. Jake reached down and scratched behind Max's ears. The dog immediately rolled over and showed his belly, hoping for rubs. "Yeah, you're really terrifying," Jake laughed. "The most dangerous thing you've ever done is steal my sandwich." Jake's second-in-command, Lieutenant Beth Clark, walked onto the bridge. Her black Labrador, Buddy, trotted beside her. Both dogs immediately went to each other and started playing. They rolled around on the floor, making happy noises. "Captain, we've received another message from the aliens," Beth said, stepping over the playing dogs. "They're demanding we surrender all biological weapons before any meetings can happen." Jake looked down at Max, who was now upside down with his tongue hanging out. "Biological weapons? Max, did you know you were a weapon of mass destruction?" Max's tail somehow wagged even faster. Dr. Marcus Webb, the ship's science officer, joined them on the bridge. His small terrier, Pip, ran ahead of him and immediately joined the other dogs in their play session. Now all three dogs were wrestling happily in a pile. "I've been thinking about their message," Marcus said. "I don't think they understand what dogs are. Every report they've sent focuses on predatory behavior and hunting instincts." Jake nodded. "That's because they've never seen domestication before. Look at this." He pulled up files on his tablet. According to their data, every species in their galaxy evolved as either lone hunters or hive minds. No one ever tamed other animals. Beth sat down, and Buddy immediately came over to put his head in her lap. She absent-mindedly petted him while thinking, "So they see wolves and think we've somehow enslaved apex predators." "Exactly," Marcus said. "They can't understand that we didn't conquer dogs. We partnered with them." On the main screen, another message appeared from the Galactic Council. Jake read it aloud. "Human vessel. You have 24 hours to prove you can control your creatures before we authorize defensive action. Demonstrate that these predators will not attack our personnel." The three humans looked at each other, then down at the dogs. Max had fallen asleep on his back. Buddy was chewing on a toy that squeaked. Pip was trying to catch his own tail. "Well," Jake said finally, "this should be interesting." Beth smiled. "Should we tell them that our most dangerous weapons are currently fighting over a squeaky toy?" Jake stood up and stepped carefully around the dogs. "Send a reply. Tell them we accept their challenge. We'll demonstrate human and canine cooperation at Neutral Station 7. As the message was sent, Jake looked out at the stars ahead. Somewhere in that darkness was a galaxy full of species who had never known the simple joy of a dog's loyalty. They had never felt the comfort of a companion who loved them unconditionally. They had never experienced the partnership that had helped humans survive and thrive for thousands of years. "Come on, boys," Jake said to the dogs. "Let's go show them what good boys really are." Neutral Station 7 floated in the empty space between star systems. It was built for moments like this, when different species needed to meet without entering each other's territory. The station was huge, with sections designed for different types of beings. Some areas had water for the aquatic assembly. Others had special lighting for the crystalline entities. Today, it would host the most unusual diplomatic meeting in galactic history. Admiral Lisa Torres stood in the human section of the station, looking out at the stars through a large window. Her German shepherd, Rex, sat beside her chair. His ears were alert, and his dark eyes watched everything around him. Rex was not just any dog. He had been trained for military service and had served alongside Lisa for 5 years. He was smart, loyal, and completely devoted to his human partner. "Are you ready for this, boy?" Lisa asked, scratching Rex behind his ears. The dog looked up at her and wagged his tail once, as if to say he was ready for anything. On the other side of the station, the alien representatives gathered in their observation room. The walls were made of special glass that could stop energy weapons. Emergency barriers could drop in seconds if needed. Security teams from 12 different species stood ready. Everyone was nervous. Ambassador Vex checked his weapon for the Third time. Remember, we are here to see if the humans can control their creatures. If those beasts attack, we must be ready to defend ourselves. Commander Thale nodded. My people have faced many dangerous predators, but nothing like this. Creatures that obey commands could be more dangerous than any wild animal. Through the glass, they could see the human section. Admiral Torres stood calmly beside what looked like a black and brown killing machine. The creature was larger than most beings in the galaxy. Its ears moved constantly, listening to everything. Its muscles were clearly visible under its fur. When it opened its mouth, they could see its sharp teeth. "Look at the size of those jaws," whispered Minister Reef. "It could bite through metal." Queen. Nala's compound eyes focused on the scene. "See how still it sits. It is waiting for orders to attack. This is not natural behavior for a predator." Dr. Marcus Webb entered the human section carrying a small bag. His terrier, Pip, trotted beside him. The aliens watching gasped. Now there were two of the creatures in the room. "A smaller one," observed General Crix. "Perhaps they breed them in different sizes for different types of warfare." The humans seemed completely relaxed. They talked to each other normally while the creatures moved around them freely. This confused the aliens even more. How could anyone be so calm around such dangerous predators? Admiral Torres received a message on her communication device. "They want us to begin the demonstration," she told Marcus. "They want proof that we can control Rex and Pip," Marcus nodded. "Let's show them what our boys can do." Lisa turned toward the glass wall where she knew the aliens were watching. She could not see them, but she knew they were there. "Rex, attention," she said in a clear voice. Immediately, Rex stood up straight and tall. His ears pointed forward. His eyes focused on Lisa's face. He looked like a soldier ready for orders. The aliens watching felt their fear increase. The creature had responded instantly to the human's voice. This was proof that the humans had complete control over these predators. "Rex, sit." Lisa commanded. Rex sat down immediately. His tail wagged slightly, but he kept his eyes on Lisa's face. "Now they will order it to attack," whispered Commander Thale. "Watch carefully. We need to see how fast these creatures can move." Instead, Lisa reached into her pocket and pulled out a small rubber ball. It was bright blue and looked completely harmless. She held it up so Rex could see it. "Rex, do you want to play?" she asked. The change in Rex was immediate and shocking to the alien observers. The creature's entire body language shifted. His tail began wagging furiously. His mouth opened in what looked like a smile. He made a small whining sound that seemed almost happy. "What is happening?" asked Queen Nala. "The creature's behavior has completely changed." Lisa threw the ball across the room. "Rex, fetch!" Rex bounded after the ball with incredible speed. The aliens watched in amazement as the powerful creature chased the small toy. He caught it in his mouth and immediately ran back to Lisa. But instead of attacking her, he dropped the ball at her feet and sat down, his tail wagging the entire time. "This makes no sense," said Minister Reef. "Why would a predator bring back prey instead of eating it?" Lisa threw the ball again. "Good boy, Rex. Fetch." Again, Rex ran after the ball with joy. His powerful legs carried him across the room in seconds. He brought the ball back and dropped it at Lisa's feet, then looked up at her with bright, happy eyes. Meanwhile, Dr. Webb was working with Pip. The smaller dog was showing off different tricks. "Pip, sit," Marcus said. Pip sat. Pip lay down. Pip lay down. Pip, roll over. Pip rolled over on his back, showing his belly to the humans. "The small one is showing submission," observed General Crix. "But why? It is not being threatened." "Pip, shake hands," Marcus said, holding out his hand. Pip lifted his paw and placed it in Marcus's hand. Marcus shook the paw gently. "Good boy." The aliens were completely confused. These creatures were not acting like any predator they had ever seen. They were not showing aggression or hunting behavior. Instead, they seemed to be playing. "This is impossible," said Ambassador Vex. "Predators do not play with their prey. They kill and eat." "But look," said Queen Nala. "The creatures are clearly happy. See how their tails move? That is not fear or aggression. That is joy, Lisa." Torres had been watching the alien section through the glass. She could not see them, but she could guess what they were thinking. She decided to try something more dramatic. "Rex, attack!" She shouted. Every alien in the observation room tensed. Security teams raised their weapons. Emergency barriers began to drop. This was it. The human was ordering her creature to attack. Rex jumped up and ran toward Lisa. The aliens prepared for violence. But instead of attacking, Rex jumped up and put his front paws on Lisa's chest. He licked her face enthusiastically while his tail wagged so hard his whole body shook. "Good boy." Lisa laughed, hugging Rex. "You're such a good boy." The alien security teams slowly lowered their weapons. The emergency barriers stopped moving. Everyone stared in shock. "The creature is showing affection?" asked Minister Reef. Dr. Webb decided to explain. He activated the communication system so the aliens could hear him. "What you are seeing is not control through fear or force. These are our companions. Our friends, our family members." "Impossible," came Commander Thale's voice through the speakers. "No predator forms bonds with other species." "Rex has been with me for 5 years," Lisa said. "He has saved my life 3 times. Not because I ordered him to, but because he wanted to protect me. He loves me, and I love him." The aliens fell silent. Love? Between different species? This was beyond their understanding. Marcus threw a ball for Pip, who chased it happily. "We call them our good boys because that is what they are. They are good. They are loyal. They are kind. They are everything we could want in a friend." The demonstration continued for another hour. The humans showed how their dogs could follow commands, but also how they played, how they showed affection, and how they seemed genuinely happy to be with their human companions. When it was over, the aliens sat in stunned silence. Everything they thought they knew about predators and prey had been challenged. These humans had not enslaved apex predators. They had somehow convinced them to be friends. "How is this possible?" whispered Ambassador Vex. No one had an answer. But they all knew that their understanding of the universe had just changed forever. The diplomatic meeting was going better than anyone had expected. For the first time in galactic history, aliens and humans were sitting in the same room without weapons drawn. The demonstration had confused the alien representatives, but it had also made them curious. They wanted to understand more about these strange creatures that seemed to love their human companions. Ambassador Vex was asking questions about dog breeding when the emergency alarms started blaring throughout Neutral Station 7. Red lights flashed in every section. The universal danger signal echoed through the halls in every language. "All beings to emergency stations," came the announcement. "Hostile ships detected approaching the station." This is not a drill. Through the large windows, everyone could see the dark shapes moving toward them. Space pirates. They were known throughout the galaxy for attacking diplomatic stations and stealing valuable technology. The pirates did not care about treaties or peace talks. They only wanted profit. Security Chief Tom Rodriguez ran into the diplomatic meeting room with his border collie, Lucy, at his side. Tom was a tall man with gray hair and kind eyes. Lucy was black and white with bright, intelligent eyes that seemed to see everything. She had been trained to help with security work and crowd control. "Captain Anderson," Tom called out, "we have 12 pirate ships incoming. They'll be here in 10 minutes. Jake Anderson stood up quickly. Max, who had been sleeping at his feet, immediately woke up and stood beside his human. "How many people are on the station?" "Over 3,000, Tom replied. Diplomats, security teams, and station workers from 47 different species. The alien representatives looked terrified. Commander Thales' scales turned a darker shade of green, which meant fear in his species. Queen Nala's compound eyes darted around the room, looking for escape routes. Minister Reef's tentacles wrapped around himself protectively. "We must evacuate immediately," said Ambassador Vex. "The pirates will show no mercy." "There's no time," Tom said. "The evacuation ships can't launch fast enough. We have to defend the station." Jake nodded. "Tom, organize the security teams. Get everyone to the safe areas." Tom turned to Lucy. "Lucy, crowd control. Help move people to safety." Lucy immediately understood. Her ears perked up and she ran toward the door. But instead of leaving with Tom, she stopped and looked back at the alien representatives. They were still sitting in their chairs, frozen with fear. "What is the creature doing?" asked Queen Nala nervously. Lucy walked over to the aliens and gently nudged Ambassador Vex with her nose. When he looked down at her, she walked toward the door, then looked back at him. She was trying to tell him to follow her. "I think she wants us to come with her," said Minister Reef in amazement. Lucy wagged her tail and walked a few more steps toward the door. She looked back again and made a small whining sound. The message was clear. "Follow me to safety." Dr. Marcus Webb arrived with Pip just as the first explosion shook the station. The pirates had begun their attack. "The main corridor is blocked," he reported. "Debris from the first blast. We need another way to the safe zones." Lucy's ears twitched. She could hear things that others could not. She ran to a different door and scratched at it. When Tom opened it, they found a maintenance tunnel that led directly to the protected areas of the station. "Good girl, Lucy," Tom said. "You found us a way out." Lucy immediately began herding the alien representatives toward the tunnel. She moved behind them, gently nudging anyone who moved too slowly. She kept looking back to make sure no one was left behind. The aliens were amazed. This creature was protecting them, even though they were not its pack. Meanwhile, Admiral Torres and Rex were helping with the evacuation in another part of the station. An explosion had damaged the main power lines, and the corridor was completely dark. The alien beings who lived in the deep ocean could not see anything without their special lighting. "Rex search," Torres commanded. Rex's excellent hearing and smell helped him find trapped aliens in the darkness. He would locate someone and then bark once to let Torres know where they were. Together, they rescued dozens of beings who would have been lost in the dark. The most amazing moment came when Rex found a group of young crystalline entities who had been separated from their parents. These beings were like living jewels, but they were also very fragile. Rex knew he had to be careful. He lay down on the floor and crawled forward on his belly, moving very slowly. He gently touched each young alien with his nose to let them know he was there to help. The young crystallines were scared at first. They had never seen anything like Rex before. But his gentle behavior and soft whining sounds told them he was safe. One by one, they climbed onto his back. Rex carefully carried them to safety, moving slowly so they would not fall. When Rex brought the young aliens to their parents, the adult crystallines could not believe what they were seeing. Their children were riding on the back of what they had thought was a dangerous predator. The children were not scared. They were actually glowing brighter than usual, which meant they were happy. In another part of the station, Beagle Sam was using his incredible hearing to help find survivors. Beagles had been bred for hunting, which gave them amazing abilities to track sounds and smells. Sam could hear the faint calls for help that others missed. "Sam, listen," said his human partner. Lieutenant Kate Miller. Sam's ears perked up and he tilted his head. He could hear something very faint coming from behind a collapsed wall. He started digging at the debris with his paws and whining to let Kate know someone was there. The rescue team followed Sam's lead and found 5 aliens trapped in a small space. They had been there for hours and were running out of air. Without Sam's hearing, they would never have been found in time. As the battle continued, the alien representatives watched in amazement from their safe area. They had expected the humans to unleash their creatures as weapons against the pirates. Instead, they saw the dogs working to save everyone on the station. "This is not possible," whispered Commander Thale. "These creatures are protecting us. But we are not their pack. We are not even their species." "Look at the way they work with their humans," said Queen Nala. "They understand each other without words. They move as one mind in different bodies." The most incredible sight was watching Border Collie Lucy organize the evacuation. She seemed to understand that different species had different needs. She helped the slow-moving crystallines by walking beside them at their pace. She guided the nervous insectoids by staying low to the ground so she would not frighten them. She even helped the aquatic beings by leading them to areas with higher humidity. "She knows what each species needs," observed Minister Reef. "How is this possible?" Dr. Webb, who was coordinating the evacuation, heard the question. "Border collies were bred to work with flocks of sheep. Lucy sees all of you as her flock. She wants to protect you and keep you safe." "But we are not sheep," said Ambassador Vex. "We are completely different species." "That does not matter to Lucy," Webb replied. "She sees beings who need help, and she helps them. That is what good dogs do." The space pirates were eventually driven off by the combined security forces of the station. When it was over, the aliens gathered in the main hall to thank the humans and their dogs. Many of them had been saved directly by the actions of the dogs. Young crystalline beings surrounded Rex, glowing brightly with happiness. They had never felt such kindness from another species before. The insectoid hive queen watched in wonder as her normally nervous workers petted Lucy gently. The aquatic assembly members were amazed that Pip had helped repair their damaged water systems. "We came here thinking your creatures were weapons," said Ambassador Vex to Captain Anderson. "But they are not weapons at all. They are guardians. They protect not just you, but anyone who needs help." Jake looked down at Max, who was tired but happy after helping with the evacuation. "That's what good boys do," he said simply. "They take care of their family. And today you became part of their family." The aliens looked at each other in wonder. They had witnessed something that challenged everything they thought they knew about predators, about loyalty, and about the bonds between different species. These humans had not conquered dangerous beasts. They had earned the love of the most loyal creatures in the universe. For the first time in galactic history, aliens began to understand that there was more than one way to be strong. Sometimes the greatest strength came not from fear, but from love. After the pirate attack, everything changed on Neutral Station 7. The aliens no longer looked at the dogs with fear. Instead, they watched them with curiosity and wonder. Dr. Elena Vasquez, the expedition psychologist, saw this as the perfect opportunity to help both species understand each other better. Elena was a small woman with kind eyes and a gentle voice. Her golden retriever, Buddy, was known throughout the human fleet for his calm and friendly nature. Buddy had been trained as a therapy dog before joining the space mission. His job was to help people feel better when they were sad, scared, or stressed. "I think it's time for some cultural exchange," Elena told Captain Anderson. "The aliens want to understand our bond with the dogs. Maybe we can help them see what friendship really means." Jake nodded. "Just be careful. They're still learning that dogs won't hurt them." Elena set up a meeting room with comfortable chairs arranged in a circle. She made sure the lighting was good for all the different alien species. When the alien representatives arrived, they moved slowly and carefully. They were no longer terrified, but they were still nervous about being so close to the dogs. Buddy lay down in the center of the circle, his golden fur shining under the lights. His tail wagged gently as he watched the aliens take their seats. He seemed to understand that these beings were different and needed him to be extra calm and gentle. Ambassador Vex was the first to speak. Dr. Vasquez, we have seen your creatures. Help us during the attack. But we still do not understand how this is possible. In our galaxy, every species fights for survival. We do not help others unless we get something in return. Elena smiled. That's because you've never experienced what we call friendship. Buddy here doesn't help people because he expects something back. He helps because it makes him happy to see others happy. But how do you know the creature is happy? Asked Queen Nala. It could be pretending to gain your trust. Elena pointed to Buddy's tail, which was still wagging slowly. See his tail. When dogs are happy, their tails wag. When they're scared, their tails go between their legs. When they're angry, their tails stand straight up and stiff. Buddy's tail tells us he's content and relaxed. Minister Reef leaned forward, his tentacles curling with interest. So the tail is like a communication device? Exactly, Elena said. Dogs communicate with their whole bodies, their ears, their tails, their posture. After thousands of years together, humans have learned to read these signals. Commander Thale, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. But why do they communicate with you at all? What do they gain from this partnership? Elena thought for a moment. Let me tell you a story. Thousands of years ago, humans lived in small groups and hunted for food. Wolves also lived in packs and hunted for food. Sometimes human groups and wolf packs would compete for the same prey. The aliens listened carefully. This was like a history lesson about two species learning to work together. But some wolves were different, Elena continued. They were less aggressive and more curious about humans. These wolves would come near human camps looking for food scraps. The humans noticed that these wolves could help them hunt better. The wolves had better hearing and smell. They could track prey that humans couldn't find. Buddy shifted position, rolling onto his side. Elena reached down and gently petted his belly. Over many generations, humans and wolves began to work together. The wolves who were best at working with humans survived and had babies. Slowly, over thousands of years, these wolves became dogs. You changed them genetically? Asked Queen Nala. Not exactly, Elena replied. We didn't use machines or science. We used something called selective breeding. We chose the friendliest wolves to have babies together. Their babies were even friendlier. After many generations, we had creatures that were loyal, gentle, and happy to work with humans. A small alien child from the crystalline delegation had been watching from behind its parent. The child was no bigger than a human toddler and glowed with soft blue light. It had been staring at Buddy with great curiosity. Can the young one come closer? Elena asked the child's parent. The adult crystalline looked nervous. Are you certain it is safe? Buddy loves children, Elena said. He's very gentle with anyone smaller than him. The crystalline child slowly approached Buddy. The dog remained perfectly still, sensing that this little being needed him to be extra careful. When the child was close enough, it reached out with a tiny crystalline hand and touched Buddy's fur. The moment was magical. The child's glow became brighter, showing that it was happy and excited. Buddy's tail wagged just a little, careful not to startle the small alien. The child giggled, a sound like tiny bells ringing. The child is not afraid, observed the parent in amazement. Children often understand animals better than adults do, Elena explained. They haven't learned to be afraid yet. The crystalline child began to pet Buddy's soft fur. The dog closed his eyes and made a soft, happy sound. Other alien representatives watched in wonder as the child and dog enjoyed each other's company. This is incredible, whispered Minister Reef. Two completely different species from different worlds, and they understand each other. Dr. Marcus. Webb entered the room with his terrier Pip. The small dog immediately went to Buddy and lay down beside him. Now the crystalline child had two dogs to pet. The child was glowing so brightly that it lit up the whole room. "How do you train them to be so gentle?" asked Commander Thale. "We don't train them to be gentle," Alina replied. "They choose to be gentle. That's the difference between a partnership and slavery. We never force dogs to love us. They do it because they want to." "But surely you must reward them for good behavior," said Ambassador Vex. "Of course," Alina said. "We give them food, shelter, and medical care. But the most important thing we give them is love and attention. Dogs are social creatures. They need to feel like they belong to a family." Lieutenant Beth Clark arrived with her Labrador, Cooper. Cooper was an older dog with gray around his muzzle. He moved more slowly than the younger dogs, but his eyes were still bright and intelligent. "Cooper is 12 years old," Beth explained. "That's quite old for a dog." "He's been with me for 10 years, the aliens were confused. "If the creature is old and slow, why do you keep it?" asked Queen Nala. "It cannot help you hunt or fight anymore." Beth looked shocked. "Because he's family. You don't abandon family members when they get old. Cooper has been loyal to me for 10 years. Now it's my turn to take care of him." Cooper walked slowly over to where Buddy and Pip were lying with the crystalline child. The older dog lay down carefully, his joints stiff with age. But when the child reached out to pet him, Cooper's tail wagged just as happily as the younger dog's tails. "The old one is just as gentle," observed the crystalline parent. "Age doesn't change their love," Beth said softly. "If anything, older dogs are even more patient and gentle." The cultural exchange continued for hours. The aliens asked many questions about dog behavior, training, and care. They learned that humans spent large amounts of money on dog food, medical care, and toys. They discovered that humans often change their entire lives to accommodate their dogs' needs. "You make sacrifices for creatures that give you nothing in return?" asked Minister Reef. "They give us everything in return," Elena replied. "They give us companionship, loyalty, and unconditional love. They make us better people." The session ended when the crystalline child fell asleep curled up against Buddy's warm fur. The dog remained perfectly still, not wanting to wake the sleeping child. The parent was amazed that their child felt safe enough to sleep next to a creature they had once thought was a dangerous predator. "We understand now," said Ambassador Vex quietly. "These are not weapons or tools. They are your friends. Your family members." Elena nodded. "The bond between humans and dogs is special because it's built on choice, not force. They choose to love us, and we choose to love them back." As the aliens left the meeting room, they carried with them a new understanding of what it meant to form bonds across species lines. They had witnessed something their galaxy had never seen before. True friendship between different forms of life. The crystalline child woke up just as its parent was about to carry it away. The child looked back at Buddy and made a soft sound. That meant, "Thank you," in their language. Buddy's tail wagged once in response, as if he understood. For the first time in galactic history, aliens began to dream of what it might be like to have companions who loved them not for what they could provide, but simply for who they were. The humans had shown them that the strongest bonds in the universe were built not on fear or need, but on love and choice. 3 months had passed since the first meeting between humans and the Galactic Council. Neutral Station 7 had become something no one expected. The first interspecies embassy where aliens and humans worked together every day. The station had been rebuilt and expanded to accommodate the growing friendship between the species. The biggest change was in the crystalline section, where small alien children could often be found playing with puppies that had been born on the station. The sight of glowing crystal beings gently petting tiny golden retrievers had become normal. The young aliens had learned to be careful with their sharp edges, and the puppies had learned to be gentle with their fragile friends. Captain Jake Anderson walked through the main corridor with Max at his side. The old golden retriever moved. More slowly now, but his tail still wagged when he saw familiar faces. They were heading to the council chamber for the most important vote in galactic history, whether to grant humanity full membership in the Galactic Council. As they walked, they passed incredible sights that would have been impossible just months before. Minister Reef from the Aquatic Assembly was learning to throw a ball for a young border collie named Scout. The alien's tentacles were not designed for throwing, but Scout waited patiently each time and wagged his tail enthusiastically whenever the ball moved even a little bit. In the insectoid section, Queen Nala was working with Dr. Elena Vasquez to understand pack behavior. The Queen had realized that her hive mind species and dog packs had some similarities. Both groups worked together for the good of all members. But dogs had something the hive mind did not: the ability to choose their loyalty. The difference, Elena was explaining, is that dogs can leave their pack if they want to, but they choose to stay because they love their family. The council chamber was filled with representatives from every known species in the galaxy. But today was different. From that first fearful meeting, today, many of the aliens had brought their own human friends and their dog companions. Ambassador Vex stood at the center of the chamber. His blue scales looked brighter than usual, which meant he was excited. Beside him sat a small beagle puppy. Named Star, the puppy had been born on the station and had never known a world where aliens and humans were afraid of each other. Members of the council, Vex began, 3 months ago, we called an emergency session because we feared the humans and their creatures. Today, we vote on whether to welcome them as full members of our galactic community. Commander Thale stood up. His yellow eyes looked around the chamber. I was one of those who thought the human creatures were dangerous weapons. I was wrong. These dogs have taught us something we never knew existed: love between different species. The reptilian commander looked down at his feet, where a small terrier named Rocket was sleeping peacefully. Rocket chose me as his friend 2 weeks ago. I do not understand why, but I am grateful. He makes me feel less alone in the universe. Queen Nala buzzed her agreement. My species shares one mind among many bodies. We thought this was the only way to have unity. But watching humans and dogs, we see that unity can come from choice, not just biology. The vote was important, but everyone knew what the result would be. The real purpose of today's meeting was to announce something even more significant: the creation of the first interspecies friendship program. Dr. Marcus Webb stood to present the program. Pip, now wearing a small badge that said Galactic Ambassador, sat proudly beside him. We propose to share the gift of companionship with any species that wants to learn. We will teach interested aliens how to care for dogs, and we will breed dogs specifically for different alien environments. The chamber erupted in excited chatter. Representatives from dozens of worlds had already expressed interest in having their own dog companions. But, Marcus continued, there are rules. Dogs cannot be bought or sold. They cannot be used as weapons or tools. They must be treated as family members. Anyone who wants a dog companion must prove they understand what friendship means. Admiral Lisa Torres stepped forward with Rex at her side. The German Shepherd was now wearing a special collar that identified him as a hero of the station for his actions during the pirate attack. We also want to tell you about our greatest teachers, Lisa said. Rex here is 12 years old. That's quite old for his breed. He has served faithfully for many years, but now he needs more care and rest. Rex wagged his tail slowly. His muzzle was gray with age, and he moved carefully, but his eyes were still bright with intelligence and love. In human culture, Lisa continued, we have a saying: a dog is for life, not just for fun. When you choose to love a dog, you promise to care for them until they die of old age. This is not a burden, it is an honor. The most moving moment came when Captain Anderson was called to address the council. He walked slowly to the center of the chamber, and Max walked beside him step by step. But halfway there, Max stopped and lay down. His breathing was heavy, and he seemed tired. Jake knelt beside his old friend. Max had been with him for 13 years, since Jake was a young officer. The dog had traveled across the galaxy and helped make history. But now he was very old and very tired. Max has been my companion for 13 years, Jake said to the council, his voice slightly shaky. He has been loyal, brave, and kind every single day. He taught me what it means to love someone completely, without expecting anything in return. Max lifted his head and looked around the chamber. Every alien representative was watching him. The old dog's tail wagged once, very slowly, as if he was saying goodbye to all his new friends. The greatest gift dogs give us, Jake continued, is not their strength or their abilities. It's their hearts. They show us how to love without fear, how to trust without doubt, and how to be loyal without asking for rewards. The vote was unanimous. Humanity was granted full membership in the Galactic Council. But the real celebration began when the first group of alien children met their new puppy companions. The crystalline youngsters glowed brighter than anyone had ever seen. When they were introduced to special puppies, bred to be extra gentle, the aquatic assembly children laughed with joy as water-loving Labrador puppies splashed in their pools. Even the serious reptilian children cracked smiles when energetic terrier puppies tried to play with their tails. But the most beautiful moment came at the end of the ceremony. An elderly crystalline being, one of the oldest creatures in the galaxy, slowly approached Max. The ancient alien had lived for thousands of years and had seen the rise and fall of entire civilizations. "Old friend," the crystalline elder said, in a voice like wind chimes, "you have given our galaxy something it never had before. You have shown us that love is stronger than fear." Max lifted his head one more time and looked into the elder's glowing eyes. For a moment, two ancient souls from different worlds understood each other perfectly. The dog's tail wagged once, very gently, and then he closed his eyes and went to sleep. Jake stayed beside Max, gently petting his old friend. Around them, the galaxy celebrated the beginning of a new age of friendship and understanding. Puppies played with alien children. Adult dogs helped their new alien friends learn about loyalty and love. The sounds of joy and laughter filled the station. 6 months later, the first interspecies embassy was officially opened on Neutral Station 7. The main hall contained a beautiful statue showing a human child and an alien child playing with a puppy. At the base of the statue was a simple plaque that read, "In memory of Max and all the good boys who taught the galaxy how to love." The galaxy was no longer a place where different species feared each other. It had become a place where friendship was possible between any beings willing to open their hearts. And it all started because humans had learned thousands of years ago that the best way to make a friend was simply to be kind. Dogs had taught humans how to love across species lines. Now together, they were teaching the entire galaxy the same lesson. The universe had become a little bit brighter, a little bit kinder, and a little bit more full of love. And in the embassy's memorial garden, where Max and other beloved dogs were remembered, alien children still came every day to learn about the creatures who were feared as beasts, but were really just very, very good boys.